Welcome back to Cure of the Common Game. Today, in deck number 828, we're going to talk about Anje, Maid of Dishonor. So for 2 black and a red, we had a 4/5 vampire. That's not a bad rate, you know. To whenever Anje and or one or more of the vampires enter the battlefield under your control, you get a blood. Now, it only triggers once each turn. I'm guessing that was added in play design. Because play a vampire, get a blood. Now, this does say other vampires. It sees tokens, but only once a turn. So, anyway, spend 2 mana, sack another creature or a blood. Each opponent loses 2 and you gain 2. So, it's vampires, it's blood, and that's what I did. There is an insane amount of vampires in the deck. So, because, sometimes you just want to play creatures and turn them sideways. But first, let's look at our, weird category here. Things that I felt like needed to be in there. We have Blood Fountain. The deck does rotate highly around blood. So, Blood Servitor, Vampire's Kiss, Ceremonial Knife. Deals combat damage, create a blood. It's not bad. Sanguine Statuette. Enters, you get a blood. When you sack a blood, you can have this turn into a vampire that turn. So, kind of neat. Hungry for More. Yeah, it's 2 mana. When else am I going to put this in a deck, right? Get a chance to play with these cards. And then Burn from Within. Now, that leads us to our mana fixing, shall we? Rakdos Signet, Key Rune, Locket, it's a pretty locket, and a Clue Stone. The Honored Heirloom, from Crimson Vow, the Spectral Searchlight, and then the big ritual, Mana Geyser. I think I cast Mana Geyser this past weekend. It costs 5, and I think I got 31 red mana out of it. Yeah, pretty sweet. A little bit of card draw and Underworld Connections. Champion of the Dusk, because we have so many vampires. Blood Pact, Pointed Discussion, and Tormenting Voice now. So let's get into our vampires. I know it seems like I'm kind of rolling through this, but at this point, I have been building all the Crimson Vows simultaneously, and so many vampire decks. A lot of vampire decks. I'm to the point now where vampires, they're cool, don't get me wrong, but wow, it's like the green-white humans decks of the last set. So we have Falkenrath Aristocrat. Flying haste, sack a creature, not bad. Now, it's not going to be human. Falkenrath Noble. It or another creature dies, target player loses 1, you gain 1. That's kind of cool. Famished Foragers. Blood Vial Purveyor. Flying, trample, 5/6 for 4. An opponent casts a spell, they get a blood. And, I love this card. Whenever he attacks, he gets +1 for each blood the defending player controls. But they have the option, to sack it, discard, and draw. So, 6 of one, half does the other. Either way, it's a 5/6 flying trample for 4. Blood Crazed Socialite. Bloodsworn Squire. Innocent Traveler. Skulking Killer. Blood Tithe Collector. Mounted Dread Knight. If an opponent lost life, it's not bad. Falkenrath Celebrants. You get 2 blood when it comes in. And it's got Menace. The Falkenrath Perforator. Bishop of the Bloodstained. I thought really hard about, with Anje, only doing vampires from Innistrad And I suppose that's something I could have done, but Ixalan's got some really good ones, you know? Enters a battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life for each vampire you control. That's hard to not play with, right? And then, of course, we have the Bloodline Necromancer, getting a vampire back. But, I don't know. That was a thought, fleeting, however, as it may, in Innistrad-only vampires. It may be something I do just to get some kind of theme on another vampire deck. The Livy's Attendant, 6/6 Menace for 6. Deals damage, create that many blood tokens. And then there's a way to deal non-combat damage. So, this is... That's, I guess you don't upset the bridesmaids, huh? Vein Drinker, of course, good old staple. Stormkirk Captain, I like this guy. Rakish Heir. Voldaren Ambusher. Equals the number of vampires you control. I tried to find as many equal the number of vampires you control cards. The Arrogant Outlaw. If an opponent lost life, each opponent loses 2 and you gain 2. That's neat. You should play it for combat, hopefully. Can't block the Blood Hypnotist, you know. Sacrifice 1 or more blood tokens. Target creature can't block. But this ability triggers only once each turn. I hate that line. We all do, I know. We want our, you know, peanut butter and our chocolate or whatever. But I'm sure there's a reason why it's on there. I don't design cards. You know, I just build decks out of them. But I'm sure there's a reason it has to be there. But it does make the card just a little less desirable, don't you think? Gluttonous Guest. Create a blood. Whenever you sack a blood, you gain a life. At least this one you can do as many times as you want. A Belligerent Guest. Deals combat damage to a player. Create a blood token. 3/2 trample for 3. Stormkirk Condemned. Double black for a 2/2. Discard a card. Vampires. All of them. You control. Get 1/1. But you can only do it once a turn. Olivia's Bloodsworn. Good flyers. Bloodthirsty Adversary. Let's read this novel, shall we? 2 mana for a 2/2 haste. When this enters the battlefield, you can pay 3, any number of times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many 1/1 counters on it, and then exile up to that many instant or sorceries with mana value 3 or less from your yard and copy them. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost. That is a mouthful. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. With haste is 10 lines of text. Welcome to 2021. Restless Bloodseeker. Making them bloods. Blood Tithe Harvester. I tried to get as many, you know, blood-themed vampires as possible. I know technically they all are, but first strike as long as it's attacking. When it dies, you get a blood. Vampire Socialite, I believe one of the most critical cards in Midnight Hunt for this set. Because I know I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's good. And there's no premium version. It's just regular and foil. There is no showcase or extended art or none of that junk. This is it, regular and foil. So for 2 mana, you get a 2/2 Menace. And when it enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, probably going to happen in a Vampire Tribal deck, you put a 1/1 counter on each other vampire you control. Your whole team gets a counter. That's a permanent +1. As long as an opponent lost life this turn, each other vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So, wow. It's, you attack before you cast. Of course, we should be doing that anyway, unless what we cast is directly affecting combat. And, I don't know, I love it. Gifted Aetherborn, Viscera Seer, Voldaren Stinger, and Voldaren Epicure. Rounds out our vampires. Told you that's a lot of vampires. So now we have removal. A lot of those creatures were removal, don't get me wrong, but Lacerate Flesh. Deals 4 damage to target creature. Create a number of blood tokens equal to the amount of excess damage done to that creature. There's that word again. Every few sets they'll sneak in an excess damage card. Grisly Ritual. Pop a creature, get 2 bloods. I know it's 6 mana. It's a lot. Yeah. It's the theme. Murder. Tragic Slip, Abrade. I love that we have a new copy of Abrade. I think I was just about out of the originals. Urge to Feed's a good vampire removal. Victim of the Night's just flavorful. And the Vampire's Vengeance. Now this thing, it's the, the uncommon 2 damage to all non-significant creature type of that set. We got pirates, we got vampires now. I think there's a werewolf. They do it every time they focus on a tribe. But it fits great, and in this one, you get a blood token. So our non-basic lands are Command Tower, Rogue's Passage, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Vivid Marsh and Vivid Crag, Stensia Blood Halls, kind of a good themed card, Bloodfell Caves, Alchem Refuge, Rocky Tar Pit, Rakdos Guildgate, and Thriving Moor. I believe my total land count for the deck, counting these basics right here, are 38. 38 is kind of the benchmark that I use. If I earmark 38 lands, and I go up or down from there depending on what the deck wants to do, So, I should probably put a blood token with that, because I'm going to need that, won't I? So, let's go put this one on the wall. A28's done, and we're running long today, aren't we? 12 minutes. It's weird. Speaking of this, since we're running long anyway, might as well run longer, right? A while back, I don't know, previous years of the channel, I probably did a little better job explaining the deck, but the videos ran longer. They were 20 minutes or so. And now they hover around the 10-11 minute mark. Which do y'all prefer? Explaining a little more how the sausage made, and because a lot of times if I'm running like tribal vampires today, it's got the word vampire, it's got the word blood, it's in. But y'all let me know what you think. But we're gonna go ahead right now and shuffle and cut.